Hey guys, AscendantGod here, and down below. Here with Raid Shadow Legends, doing a brief review of the latest fusion event, Brakus the Shifter. So, if you want this summed up in a nutshell really quick, of if you're just wondering, is it worth getting Brakus? Short answer, not really. Not unless you're really hard up for champions and you have a few $100s to waste on a game. Well, not even really a game, an app. It's not really a full-blown game. Then sure. Personally, I don't feel so. All right. And a lot of my clan members, even with this one, that took the time to get Harvest Jack, and like I took the time to get Harvest Jack. I didn't feel Harvest Jack was that great. He's just sitting in my vault collecting dust. But Brakus is much worse than Harvest Jack, and Harvest Jack isn't that great. But anyway, let me show you. For those of you who don't know, if you go into this news tab and you go to read more here, you can actually see where you get all the champions from. So you can look through this yourself, but it's all different events. Some of them are like the buy shards and win. Summon Rush is buy shards and win events. Champion Chase, again, another same thing, just buy shards and win. It's just the tournament version of it. This is the event version. But anyway, some of them are in the buy shards and win. Some of them are from other, like the dungeons where you have to farm thousands and thousands of energy to try to hope that you get them from the dungeons. Some of them are from the champion training, things like that. But anyway, they can all get acquired through numerous different means in the game. You're able to get all of them one way or another by farming something or earning it through a specific event. So it's not dependent on you having to have them in your vault, which is nice. But Brakus just isn't anything that great. I mean, and I'm not going to get into Harvest Jack. I already covered that in the Champion Spotlight, but like I said, Brakus is even worse. Like Harvest Jack, I mean, you can at least modify him, and he's okay. Like he's good in Faction Wars. He's great. Well, I should say not good. He's great in Faction Wars. I'll admit he's great in Faction Wars. Everything else is no. But Brakus here, just let me show you why. All right, and the thing is too that you have to keep in mind here, if you want to get Brakus, I have somebody from the clan that we were talking about this, and he's pretty good with number crunching, and he said with Harvest Jack, he kept a pretty strict track of how much he was spending of items that he had bought in the game for like energy, bonus XP, gems, things like that. I think he said about $120 worth of in-game purchases. And he said that was on the lower side. He's like, I think it was higher than that, but I'm trying to be generous just for the sake of argument, so that I'm not saying I'm like blowing things out of proportion. Said at least $120 worth of in-game purchases. And he said that's on the lower end, but definitely bare minimum. So I would say, honestly, it was probably close to like 140, 150 at least. But then there's also hours and hours and hours of grinding on top of that too. So you have to consider that. With Brakus, it's going to be the same. I mean, you're going to spend at least $100 some odd worth of in-game purchases between the energy and the potions and everything else to get them, because you got to consider, you not only do you have to get all these champions maxed out to either 40s or 50s, but then you have to do all the ascensions too. It's really time consuming, and it's a lot of farming for potions and maxing out champions, and you need the bonus XP and the tons of energy and all that. All right, now with that said, reason Brakus is not very good here. All right, he's an attack-based champion. The problem, again, we were talking about this in the clan just today. Problem with attack-based champions in the game currently is the fact that if you have a defense champion or an HP champion and their damage scales off of defense or hit points, great. You load them up with defense or load them up with hit points, they have more survival and they hit harder. Attack champions, you load them up with attack, they can become glass cannons and hit really hard, but then they can also get killed really easily. Now, with Brakus, he has this passive here called Beast Mode. All right, and the passive effect, damage increases by 40% when this champion's hit points drop below 40%. It's kind of cool. The problem is that when you're doing stage 20 dungeons or endgame content, high stage faction wars content, it's not too often that a champion's going to be below 40% before they get killed. Like, so you might be below 40% and maybe get one attack, so you're going to have maybe one attack of his increased by 40% before he dies. And then The active effect revives his champion 20% hit points when killed, immediately grants an extra turn. So that's kind of cool that he immediately gets an extra turn. Problem is he only comes back with 20% hit points, and this is a 7-turn cooldown. Pay attention to that, guys. 7 turns. Like, for those of you who don't look at these passives and you're like, oh, that's really cool. Remember, there's a cooldown on this. This 7-turn cooldown means that when he revives, you have 7 more turns of his before he can revive again. If he gets killed before those 7 turns, he doesn't revive. Now, sure, he has this where you can reduce the cooldowns, but here's why I don't think he's worth it. Like, they do these legendaries like this where you have to get the tombs as well. The tombs are going to be more expensive than earning him, because I don't know why, because Brakus isn't even that great. Well, I know why. It's for money. But they made him, normally most legendaries, you have to get 14 tombs to get to max them out. Look at this. Got 4, 10, 14, 16 tombs to max him out. So considering a pack of 7 legendary tombs costs $100, you're looking at over $200 worth of in-game purchase. I mean, you'd need to buy 3 packs of the 7 tombs, so you'd need to spend at least $300 in in-game purchases to get enough legendary tombs to max them out. $300. Now, sure, you get some extra gems and you'll have some extra legendary tombs afterwards, but that's the bare minimum you'd have to spend if you don't have a bunch of legendary tombs saved up, which, I mean, who has a ton of legendary tombs lying around unless you're a whale? So, anyway, but that's harsh. That's harsh. 16 legendary tombs to max this guy out, and he's not even that great. All right, so this at best is going to be a 5-turn cooldown, which means once he resurrects, it's going to be 5 more turns before he can resurrect again. Considering he only resurrects with 20% hit points, unless you have a really good healer and skinwalkers, or something else with really good damage mitigation, he's most likely going to get resurrected and get killed almost immediately afterwards at only 20% hit points. I mean, for those of you who do Gold 4 and you know how Gold 4 works, like, even if you have Arbiter, if the enemy goes first, you're most likely going to get killed, because even if you have Arbiter, you resurrect your champions, they immediately get killed again because they don't have enough hit points. The same problem with him. He only gets revived with 20% hit points. Yes, he does get an immediate attack, which is cool, but at 20% hit points, he's going to go right back down. He's going to get his 1 attack, and then he's probably going to get killed before he gets to do another one. So that's one issue. That the passive and active in this just isn't anything that spectacular because of that harsh cooldown. All right, and then secondly, say 3. Places a 50% increased attack buff on all allies for 3 turns, then attacks an enemy 3 times. Now, for 3 turns, 50% increased attack, that's pretty cool. All right, now, each hit has a 50% chance of placing a true fear debuff for 1 turn, has a 50% chance of placing a fear debuff on 2 random enemies for 1 turn if the true fear debuff is placed. Alright, now, the thing is he hits 3 times. So let's look again that if you spend, again, remembering that this is going to be over $200, like, of in-game purchases to max out his skills. But for the sake of argument, let's say you're going to max him out. All right, so best case scenario, you're going to say that each hit has a 75% chance of placing a true fear. Now, it attacks 1 enemy 3 times, so you're almost guaranteed to place true fear on 1 enemy, and then a fear, well, I should say a 75% chance of placing a fear on 2 random enemies after that. So that's not too bad. It's not that great either, though, because here's the thing: it's the same issue as with Halloween Jack. Problem with fear and true fear is that there is a 50% chance that it's gonna, have an effect that's going to be detrimental to the enemy. There's also a 50% chance that it's going to do absolutely nothing to the enemy, which means the enemy comes at you in full force. At least with Halloween Jack, he had an AoE that puts true fear on everybody. With Brakus here, I mean, yeah, he gives an increased attack, but the thing is if you have really good gear, eventually you have an attack cap. like where it has diminishing returns, which means that if you have really good gear on your allies already, a 50% increase in their attack may not even increase their damage that much. It may only increase it by, say, an extra 300 or 400 damage, you know? But let's say, for the sake of argument, you don't have amazing gear, so okay, this increases everybody's damage. That's pretty cool. And then this True Fear, it's a really good chance of putting True Fear on an enemy, and then a decent chance of Fear on 2 random. But the thing is it's 2 random enemies, so you have no control over who else it goes on to. And if that targets the same champion 2 times, then it may only end up on 1 champion, even if it does trigger. And that's assuming it triggers, because on the other allies, the best case scenario is only a 75% chance, and it's only Fear, not True Fear. So personally, I don't feel True Fear and Fear is anything that great in the game. I just don't. Not with the game's mechanics currently. But so I don't feel this is anything that great. I really don't. I mean, the 3-turn increase attack is kind of cool, but then his actual attack here just, no, it's not that great. And then this here attacks one enemy 6 times. That's a lot of attacks. So that would go nice with Giant Slayer, but only on enemies with a ton of hit points. But anyway, heals this champion by 25% of the damage inflicted. Then heals this champion by 50% of the damage inflicted instead if the target's under a Fear or True Fear debuff. After the first hit, has a 75% chance of placing a 25% weaken debuff for 3 turns. So the problem with this is it's only a single target weaken. You got a lot of legendaries out there that can do AoE weakens. He's only going to do it to 1 enemy, and it's only a 75% chance until you max out his skills. So once you do, then sure, it's what is that? Yeah, it looks like 100%. Yeah, so 100% chance then at that point to put a weaken, but it's only a weaken on 1 enemy. This would be good on a boss. Like, that's where he would shine, would be on a boss as far as this ability. The thing is that I have a feeling you're only going to get that 50% healing. Now, the thing is the healing sounds cool, but the thing is that if you need healing, it's going to be useful. If you don't need healing, he's not going to time it right. Like, that's the thing, is like, this is the type of skill that doesn't work well on auto. And as most of you know, like, eventually you get to the point where you do all your fights on auto because it's too time consuming to not do so. On auto, he's just not going to play well, especially if you end up the same issue with him that you did with Harvest Jack, where Harvest Jack uses his A2 before his A3. A lot of champions for some reason do that. If he uses this A2 before the A3, you're going to run into the same problem with him that you do with Harvest Jack, where Harvest Jack uses his ability that benefits from enemies having Fear on them, but he doesn't apply the Fear. And then with Brakus, you might have the same issue where he might attack with this A2 first before he applies any Fear or True Fear, and so you're not going to get that extra healing. I don't know for sure, because I don't know anybody that has Brakus that I've talked to yet, so I can't confirm that. You could ask on the forums and verify that. I didn't think that was too important to look into beforehand, but that could potentially be an issue. And even if it isn't, like, there's not a very good chance you're going to get this on all the enemies. And then this is just 1 enemy that he attacks. Hopefully the AI is set up so that if an enemy has Fear or True Fear, he's going to target the enemy with the Fear or True Fear if he needs healing. But with the AI in this game, who knows? Probably not. And then the last one, attacks one enemy, heals this champion by 15% of the damage inflicted. Now, a big question of this is how well it scales. From what I've heard, he doesn't scale that amazingly well. So healing by 15% of what he does is not going to be anything that spectacular. So it's like this, like 6 hits, works good with Giant Slayer on bosses, should give him a decent amount of healing on bosses. This here, you're going to get a little bit of Fear, you're going to increase attack on your allies. This here, it's going to be useful 1 time in an encounter most likely, and then the second time he dies, it's most likely not going to have come off a cooldown. So he just really isn't that great. And I hate to say that because, I mean, I want to like him. Like I said, I like the darker side of things. I love Halloween stuff. And like I said, Harvest Jack was pretty decent in Faction Wars at least, but the fact that he uses A2 over his A3 first, again, with Brakus here, no matter which one he uses first, he's still just not that amazing of a champion. He's okay. I mean, if you don't have many legendaries, you have a few extra $100 laying around to throw into the game, and you have nothing better to do, sure, go for Brakus. But just keep in mind that it's going to cost you at least $300, $400 worth of purchases in order to earn him. So just keep that in mind. $300 to $400, guys. I mean, that's a big part of what's causing a lot of people to cut back, and a lot of people complaining on the forums and on YouTube channels is the cost of this game. It's getting ridiculous, especially now where it used to be 14 tombs to max out legendaries. Now a lot of them are starting to have these 16, or I think there's one with even 17 or 18, I think. If I remember right, the other day I heard something about that. But anyway, yeah, just nothing that's that spectacular here with him. Like I said, I mean, this again, the true fear is not reliable. Fear is not reliable, and the fear is going to be random anyway, so that's completely unreliable. And then again, when he's on auto, God only knows what he's going to do. He's not going to do things the way that you'd want him to. If you're using him manually and you're still in the game where you're doing things manually, he'll be okay. Again, in Faction Wars, he's not going to be good for Clan Boss at all. He's not. You're not going to want to, because like some people might argue like, oh well, Giant Slayer in this. Well, best case scenario, this comes down to a 3-turn cooldown, so you're only using this every 3 turns. Yeah, it's 6 hits. That's kind of cool, but it's not worth it, because the thing is, if you load him up with Giant Slayer, it's going to really hurt his survivability, because you only get this once every 3 turns. And this only does 1 hit. And that's one thing that's just really confusing about him, is you give him 6 hits on his A2, but then only 1 hit on his A1. That completely jacks him up for the Clan Boss, because the problem is, you put Giant Slayer on him, sure, he could end up doing a lot of damage with this A2. The problem is that, you know, A3, same thing, it hits 3 times, so even on auto, he could be run through an auto group on Clan Boss, and he'd probably do just as much damage as if you did him manually, because I would imagine he'd do his A2 and A3 every time they're on cooldown. Problem is that yes, with his A2 and his A3, they'll hit pretty decent, but you got a 4-turn cooldown, this one, like, at best, 4-turn cooldown, this one at best, 3-turn cooldown, and then, other than that, he's doing 1 hit. So when these are on cooldown, if you get a lot of damage, once the damage starts getting lethal on the Clan Boss, you only get 1 hit. With Giant Slayer, that's only a 30% chance to do that extra damage. So if you're relying on a lifesteal set, you don't have somebody like, say, Bad Alcazar, or like, you know, a Warlord, somebody with serious damage mitigation. That 1 hit with Giant Slayer, it's going to get him killed. It's just asking for disaster, and he doesn't bring anything else that's really that great for the boss. I mean, yeah, there's the weaken, so I mean, you do have the weaken, but he's not going to be able to keep it up consistently. It's 3-turn cooldown. Well, actually, no, I stand corrected. It's because it's a weaken for 3 turns. So yeah, I stand corrected. He actually could keep weaken up on the boss. So he wouldn't be a great choice for the Clan Boss, but I guess he is a choice for the Clan Boss. You could use him. The only thing that he'd really give on the Clan Boss, so he'd increase everybody's damage a little bit by the increased attack, but more than anything, you're getting your damage from War Master and Giant Slayer in Clan Boss anyway, most of the time. This would work well with Giant Slayer, but this would not work well with Giant Slayer. I just think he'd be getting killed too easily because of the A1 on the Clan Boss. I don't think he's that great for Clan Boss. In Arena, for those of you who do Gold 4 Arena, you know Endgame Arena, worthless. I mean, he increases attack, attacks 1 enemy 3 times. Like, no, you want AoE attacks. If you're going to use an attack-based champion in Arena, you're going to want champions with AoE attacks, not this, like, attacks 1 enemy. No, doesn't make sense. You'd want AoE, so he's not going to be like an ideal pick for Gold 4 Arena either. Faction Wars, he'll be decent. Dungeons, he might be alright for Fire Knight's Castle just because of how many attacks he has on average. He'd probably be alright. But he doesn't bring a whole lot for that. Because the problem is that fear and true fear don't get applied to the bosses. So once you get to the boss, this becomes worthless other than the increased attack. This here, I mean, yeah, you could put a weaken on him, but it's a matter of if he times it right from once the shield is down. So I don't know. I don't think he's going to be that great for dungeons. The only thing I could see him that he'd be decent for is for faction wars. That's about it. Other than that, I mean, as far as at least for endgame. But again, if you're hard up for a champion, you have a few $100s lying around, you don't mind spending it, throw it my way first. And then waste some money on the game. Because I could use the money more. I got a family. But anyway, but yeah, guys, seriously, I mean, it's going to be a few $100, so just think about that. So anyway, yeah, I mean, that's all that I got for now. I mean, and I wish I had better news for you. I mean, I love when fusions come along because it gives us something new to do. But, you know, I got Molly. Molly is a really great champion. I just didn't personally need her. Like, once Faction Wars happens, I'm really excited to use her. I think she's going to be awesome for Faction Wars. She's going to be my lead champion for Faction Wars. She's going to carry everybody else. But other than that, I'm not using her for anything because I have too many legendaries. But that's what I'm saying is if you don't have many legendaries, you're fairly new to the game. Brakus will be a decent start. But again, keep in mind, he's going to be really expensive too. Really expensive. So you have to consider that. So anyway, but that's all that I got, guys. So again, you know, if you're considering, like, is he going to be good for the long run in end game? I don't have a ton of money to spend, but I want to invest into this game. I want to get something that's really good. If you don't, unless you have a ton of money to throw around, that's why I'm saying, like, I cannot reiterate it enough, and I hate to keep repeating myself, but I'm trying to look out for you guys. Like, if you guys don't have hundreds of dollars just laying around to waste, skip Brakus, wait for the next fusion. I mean, if you haven't been playing that long, just be patient, because fusions come along regularly these days. There's always some types of fusions events going on every couple of months. Like, just wait until the next one. There'll be something bigger and better coming along, especially with Christmas coming up. Like, you're going to be seeing one in another month after this, so rest assured there's going to be something coming for Christmas. I'm sure they had one last year. I'm sure they will this year. But for Brakus, like I said, unless you have a lot of money to throw around or nothing better to do, I don't feel he's worth the investment. So hope that's been useful to you guys. If you do have any questions, comments, concerns, or anything, let me know in the comments below. And like I said, he's not completely worthless. I know some of you are going to argue, oh, well, you can put this set on and make him viable, that set on and make him viable. But let's be honest, guys, I'm talking about end game content and how viable he's going to be compared to the good legendaries in this game. All right, just keep that in mind if you're going to try to defend this guy. Because I always have those, like, internet warriors that come along and, oh, you have no idea what you're talking about. Guys, like, let's be honest. Like, if you don't have a handful of legendaries already, then you don't have the foundation of knowledge to even be talking about defending Brakus. If you have a handful, if you got, like, Martyr, Big Un, you know, Nethril, things like that, like, you know, Roshguard, and you're going to be sitting there saying Brakus is good and you're going to give a solid explanation, then go for it. I mean, like I said, Brakus isn't horrible. He's okay. He's just not anything that spectacular. I mean, I'm thinking there's a few different sets you could put on him to make him more decent. I mean, you could put Lifesteal on him. He might be kind of hard to kill. But from what I've heard so far, this A1 doesn't scale that well. I could be wrong. I only heard it from, I think, 2 people that said he doesn't scale that great. But I think a lot of them were comparing him to that monster, the Frankenstein. It's Frankenstein. I don't know what, Miscreated Monster or whatever. Miscreated Monster's amazing. He's absolutely amazing. I love him. But Brakus, Miscreated Monster's a lot better than him. Let me put it that way. And Miscreated Monster's an epic. But anyway, but again, guys, any questions, comments, concerns, just let me know in the feedback, you know, in the comments below. Hope this has been useful. And again, he's going to be okay for Faction Wars, but he's expensive, guys. I don't feel he's worth the investment. If you want to spend the money, you got the money to throw around, go for it. But otherwise, I'd say pass this one. So anyway, good luck, guys. If you are working on them, I hope you get the drops quickly in the dungeons and everything. And that's all that I got for now, though. So until the next episode, you guys take care and good luck. Hey guys, Anthony here, also known on this channel as AscendantGod. And shout out from down below because we love everybody equally here. Well, thank you guys for checking out the channel here. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you can stay up to date with the latest content as I provided on here. Also, be sure to check out the description sections of the videos regularly as well. That's where I provide you guys with all the resources that I'm able to find that I think would be useful for you. It's also where you can show your support, and it is much appreciated because regretfully, playing video games and making funny videos doesn't support the family, so any support you guys give is really appreciated. And other than that, I think that's about all that I got for now. So in the meantime, I'm gonna get back to this here. I think I almost got it figured out. So wish me luck, and I will catch you guys in the next episode. So until then,